Good morning and welcome to a special weekend stakes preview. We are going to be looking at the Art Day Triomphe, and it's Enable's last race, so we thought it would be appropriate just to break down that race. And it's early on Sunday morning, so make sure you get down to the Clubhouse race book. We open at 9 o'clock. Sully, Crotty, and Mike Callahan, as we always are with you every weekend. Mike, how you doing?
What's going on, Sully? Yeah, like you said, it's an enormous day over in Paris at Longchamp, and we definitely want to take a look at the race. You have so many Group 1s, and I know, over on our side in the States, it's really tough to break down these type of races, so we wanted to break down the ARC for you specifically. But again, there's some great racing on the card. And then, like you said, the clubhouse is going to be open at 9 o'clock. You're probably listening to it right now on Sunday, and it's probably 9 o'clock-ish, 9-ish or so. So you still have time to stop down. The ARC doesn't go off until 10:05. And we're going to have complimentary coffee, bagels. So to take advantage of it, it's a terrific day of racing. I mean, the terrific weekend overall, but specifically over in France. And we definitely want to touch upon this race. So.
It's kind of a little bittersweet with Enable's last race. Even if she wins, she's not going to come here to run in the Breeders' Cup. But 13 wins and 14 starts. She is the real deal, and it's going to be tough for racing when she goes. But Enable, let's see if Enable can get one more win and win the ARC, I think, 3 times now?
Yeah, it's never been done. It's never been done. There have been plenty of horses that have won it twice, but no one's been able to win it 3 times. And this is specifically why she came back in her 5-year-old campaign. And listen, she's been tremendous so far. I've always been a fan. If you remember the Breeders' Cup seminar, I was always Team Europe, and I talked about Enable and the Breeders' Cup turf. She was dominant that day, although she didn't like the surface. Now, there are multiple things we're going to talk about in this race, one being the weather that's over there. The entire week so far, it has rained. It hasn't been a complete downpour or anything, but it just seems to rain each and every day. The sun hasn't come out, so I expect the turf to be quite soft, and Enable likes it good to firm. So if you're opposed to her, the surface is definitely going to lead you in another direction than the way that she would want to go. I don't think she's going to really. This is not her preferred surface, I would say. It doesn't mean she can't win, but I definitely think you have to factor that in. And there's also the weight differences that you're going to see in here. So there are 3-year-olds that we're going to talk about in this race. You have some fillies and mares that we're going to talk about in this race that are going to get some weight from the older males in here. So if you take a look at the field, and you're going to be able to see it with the page that we have up, you have the older males that are carrying 131. You have the filly and mare and Enable and Magical, who are both 4 and 5 respectively. They're going to be carrying 128, so they're actually getting 3 pounds from the older colts in here. And then also you're going to have the 3-year-olds that are facing older horses that are both colts in here, including Japan, Soft Light, and Sass, who's got the local horse over in France. Those are the horses that you're going to want to take a look at because they're getting the most weight. They're getting 7 pounds. And in a race that's run over soft going, you have to believe that the difference in the carrying of weight anyway will be something that will impact you as far as wagering goes. So there's a lot to take a look at. And when you're taking a look at this race, you have to start with Enable, who I've always been a fan of, but I'm actually opposed as far as selections goes. But what are your thoughts kind of reacting to not only the soft ground, but the weights in here and how you factor that in?
Yeah, the one thing you brought up is definitely going to be the surface for her. And as she said, she didn't like it at Churchill when she came over here, and she hasn't ran her best on yielding turf courses, and that's what you're going to get here this morning. And Japan's a horse that's ran well on good surfaces and on yielding surfaces. Going to be facing older in here, and also towards the inside, the Waldgeist has ran well on yielding and soft surfaces as well. But I'm not going to try to beat Enable in here. I kind of want Enable to go out into the sunset with winning 3 ARCs and kind of going into retirement being one of, if not the best turf horse that we've seen or ever. But I'm rooting for her here, and obviously the turf's going to be an issue. It's going to be wet. It's going to be yielding, but she's ran well at this distance, and she's ran well in the race itself. You get Frankie Dettori, so I like Enable. I mean, I'm not going to. No one's going to be shocked if Enable wins, but I feel like it's like a rooting interest horse, much like we had with Zenyatta in the Breeders' Cup. Everyone wanted Zenyatta to win, go out in the sunset, undefeated, and if she could finish her career with 14 wins and 15 starts, that would be remarkable, especially with the competition and the field sizes over in Europe. But a horse that I think is interesting is a 3-year-old Japan. I think Japan, running on good surfaces and yielding surfaces, the last 3 have been very good. Ryan Moore and Aiden O'Brien teaming up, beating a nice horse in Crystal Ocean last time out by a head, and that was a fantastic race if you watch the replay from August 21st. And Crystal Ocean's a good horse overseas, but I think the 9-1's very fair. The horse is going to be facing older. You're getting the weight advantage, as you said. But Japan has not raced at 124 yet. I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. And again, it's Aiden O'Brien and Ryan Moore. You probably don't want to leave off of your ticket, especially at the price you're getting at 9-1. Towards the inside, if you're looking for a price, I think French King is one that could be interesting. Has ran well at the 1.5 miles the last 5 or 6, winner of 4 in a row. So at 20-1, I think completing some supers or finishing 4th, I don't think French King is out of the question at all. But for me, I'm going to be rooting for Enable. It's going to be more of a watch type of race for me. I'm not really going to put too much money into it, but if I was betting, I think Japan at 9-1 is a very fair price. And then to the outside, 4-1, the 12 Satsas ran well at the 1.5 miles last time. The 1.25 miles, the horse dominated. So I think the second start going up to the 1.5 miles should be much better. I think is a little short in this field, especially facing older and going up just a little bit in pounds. But another horse that's ran well on off tracks in every start of the career. So I'll be rooting for Enable, but the big play underneath, I think Japan at 9-1 is very fair.
Yeah, it's definitely a horse you want to use in here. One of those wise guy horses for Aiden. And the way that this race is going to flow, and pretty much the way it's going to set up in here, is Gaieth out of the 12 post. He's the number 3 as far as betting choices goes, but he's going to coming out of the 12 post is actually going to fly to the lead. He's a horse that I actually am going to have on top. I think he's a horse that's just improving tremendously. He's bought. I'll talk about him in a second. You're going to see Enable probably 2nd or 3rd. That's where she normally likes to sit. You're going to see Japan probably targeting Enable, and then Satsas and Waldgeist are the other horses in here that are going to be coming from the way back. So if you just wanted to know where horses are going to be throughout this race, you're going to have Gaieth up top. You're going to have Enable and Magical probably 2nd, 3rd, possibly 4th-ish in that spot. And then you're going to have Japan just off of those horses, and then Waldgeist and Satsas waiting to explode with their closing kick. So the way that the race shapes up for me, with the soft ground, I think it may neutralize Satsas's closing kick. Now, he's been absolutely tremendous as a 3-year-old. He's really come into form the last couple. You go back and watch his replays. He actually broke the track record 2 starts back by a full second in France. It was something that was just absolutely tremendous. I know they were blown away. Jean-Claude Rouget was just blown away by the performance. And they're taking their shot in here. Now, the fact that you're getting 7 pounds from most of these sources in here and you're getting 4 pounds from Enable, you have to like your chances. To me, though, the soft ground, the horse, just too many question marks for horses that are coming from the way back here. Doesn't mean this horse can't win. He's going to be taking a lot of activity at 4-1, but that's the way I saw it with him. Enable, to me, I think she may have lost a step. I still think she's tremendous. She's done nothing wrong. She just does workmanlike performances each and every time. Now, she threw down with Crystal Ocean. If you go back, that's probably the race of the year of any race in the entire world. For the entire stretch, they were just battling each and every step. Enable was able to size up Crystal Ocean by a neck that day. Last time out, it was a short field. It was against Magical, who was in this race. I thought it was a very good performance. But again, I'm just wondering if at one point she's going to get nailed. Because remember last year against Sia Class, she just held on that day. Now, there was a lot of things going into that race. She had a fever. She just hung on. I know that Frankie at one point wasn't sure if he won the race or not. It was so close. But for me, the price is just going to be a little too short. It's not the fact that she can't do it, because obviously 13 for 14, it's hard to find really red flags with her at all. So for me, I'll have her just underneath. But Gaieth is the horse that I want to focus on in here. He's the 3. He's going to be breaking from the outside. He won by 14 in a Group 1 over in Germany last time. If you go back and watch his race, his stride is just impressive. There are horses that you just see on the track that you say, wow. So you go back and you do some research on him. He was bought for $1.1 million as a foal by Godolphin. Charlie Appleby. William Buick has gone on record by saying this horse is an absolute monster. That was his direct quote after his race last time out. Now you're going to go back and take a look at the two-back race where he finished third. I think he went a little too fast that day. That was at the 1.25 miles against Waldgeist, who was in here, and ultimately he just wasn't able to go on in that race. But he had a little time off since April. That race to set him up for the Arc was tremendous. And you don't usually see William Buick, who's the leading guy for Godolphin and is the right-hand man for Charlie Appleby, to say those type of things about Gaieth, who's going to be forwardly placed. Yes, Enable's going to be targeting that horse, and you're going to have the Stone Cold Closers and Waldgeist and Satsas coming after this horse. But with the soft going in here, I think it's going to neutralize everything. He's just a big, powerful horse. He is giving up weight to Enable. He is giving up weight to the 3-year-olds in here. But for me, I just think he's rounding into form, and he's the horse that I want to use in here at 6-1. I'm hoping it's going to hold, but I do like the number 3, Gaieth, on top. Underneath, Enable in the second spot for all the reasons. Obviously, I'd love to see her go out, the champion that she is. For me, though, I just think she may have lost a step in her 5-year-old campaign, and I just think the race against Crystal Ocean may have taken a lot out of her. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just trying to state a case for why I like Gaieth, but Enable, she could easily run back to any of those races and get the job done. And then Satsas in the third spot. Satsas, I would have loved to put this horse much further up the board for me anyway, if it was good to firm. But the fact that the soft going is going to be here, I'm not so sure about Satsas in this spot. But again, if you can get past Enable, you have tremendous odds everywhere. I mean, Waldgeist is a horse we haven't talked about, and he's a horse that beat my top choice a couple races back. I mean, he's a horse that likes it good to firm as well, though. If you go back and take a look at his races, take a look at how the connections talk as well, he's a horse that likes it on the firmer side. He's not going to get that on Saturdays, so that's where you sort of say, well, what's really going to happen in here? But he has the pedigree to do it. He's sort of been knocking on the door in these Group 1 events. Last time out, he did get the job done for his prep over at Longchamp as well. So there's just a lot of factors going into this race. And you have superstars. Any of these horses that would come over to North America and run in any of our Grade 1 races, these horses would be heavy favorites. Satsas, Japan, Enabled, Gaieth, Waldgeist. These horses would be serious contenders. So while we don't know them very well over in the States, if over in, this is the race over in Europe that everybody points to. So I just think it's quite interesting. And for me, I'll have Gaieth on top, Enable, Satsas. Again, your selections one more time.
I had Enable, Japan, French King, and Satsas.
Yeah, it's going to be a tremendous race. Taking a look at the rest of the card, if there was one horse, and he's going to be short in here, and it's going to be in the 6th race, Batosh. Batosh is a horse that's had some really good duels with a horse that I love. I had on the Dubai World Cup undercard, which is Blue Point. Blue Point actually just retired. He went out a champion. He won, if you remember, in the Royal Ascot meeting, he won twice during that carnival. He won twice in 5 days for Charlie Appleby. And James Doyle was on because William Buick was sidelined with an injury. But Batosh has done some really nice things. He's a speedster. He's actually changed up his style a little bit. He used to be go right to the lead in those 5 furlong sprints and get the job done. But now he sort of likes to come from off the pace. He beat Soldier's Call. You may actually remember Soldier's Call because he raced in the juvenile sprint last year when Bulletin won. He's going to be in this race as well. A little bit of a value play of 8-1. For me, I think Batosh, and if you could somehow link up a couple other horses in that try, it's such a deep field. I mean, you have a field of 16 in here. You may be able to make some money in that race, but there are some horses that you remember. So Perfect is a horse that some people should remember. Fairyland is another horse that some people should remember. So again, if you're just trying to look for horses that you may know from North America, I think this is a good race that would set up for you.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at this race as well. It's a turf sprint with 16 horses. So obviously you're going to get a price somewhere if you're a multiple player. But as you said, Batosh looks a little tough to beat in here, but it's going to be interesting to see where Batosh's plays. As you said, the horse has been on the lead and then off the lead the last couple, but raced well against Blue Point, as you said, who looked unbelievable at Ascot, winning twice in 5 days. So yeah, there's definitely plenty of chances to get some prices underneath in this race.
Yeah, so don't forget, first post is going to be 8:15. The clubhouse is going to open up at 9 o'clock. And then the last post is going to be 12:40. You have multiple grade ones in here, including the highlight, which is at 10:05, the arc, which we just went over. I'm going to go with an upset choice in here with Gaiath. I know you're going to go with Enable and see if she can go out the star that she is. And again, there's a lot to look forward to. Thanks for tuning in. Until we see you again, take care.